the end of your interview, two things can happen. I'll tell you what won't happen. You won't be denied at the end of your interview. The only time you would ever be denied at your interview is if you have a prior removal order, and we would have already made sure that that didn't apply to you. So with that in mind, nothing bad happens at the interview. But at the end of the interview, two things can happen. Either the immigration service officer is going to tell you that you've been recommended for approval, which is basically the same as an approval, and you would expect your online case status to update either that day or the next day to reflect an approval. Or what's becoming more and more common is that you get a sheet of paper that says interview results, and it says your case is being held for review. And when I say this is becoming more and more common, I mean almost every case is being held for review. USCIS is experiencing significant backlogs, and what's really unfortunate for them is that if they go through your entire file and they make sure everything's consistent, everything checks out, they would have requested background checks, what they call name checks, from your home country, make sure everything's in order there, and if they spend all that time looking through your file and making sure your security checks are back and that they're okay, and then you don't come to the interview, or only one spouse comes to the interview, then they just wasted all of that time. And it's not uncommon that sometimes people do break up before the interview, where only one spouse will appear for the interview. So to avoid having wasted all of that time, it's becoming more and more common that the the immigration service officers don't actually spend a lot of time with your file before the interview. They want to make sure that two people come to the interview and that the interview goes well. Then they go back and make sure that everything's in order with your file. So if you, at the end of the interview, if you get a notice of interview results and it says your case is being held for review, it's not a cause for concern. It's not anything to be worried about. But it is hard to tell when it will be approved, because your case is with that specific officer, and when they get back to reviewing your file, then they'll change the online case status for you. Most commonly, we see the case status changing within 2 to 3 weeks after the interview. The case status will change to approved, and we'll immediately let you know, because you'll be wondering. But sometimes it can be longer, and it can be months. Now, if we go more than 6 months, obviously we would start doing service requests, but it's on that specific officer's desk, and it's for them to go back and make sure everything is tight before they actually grant you your residency. Other things that can happen at an interview, if you didn't have an original document that they wanted, or if they want more marriage evidence, they can give you a request for evidence, either hand it to you at the interview or tell you they're going to mail it to you, and they would mail us a copy as well, and then we would need to respond to that. The other thing that can happen, because it is your burden to prove that your marriage is genuine, if they don't feel like they have a lot of evidence, but they don't have anything to deny you, they don't have anything firm to say your marriage is not genuine, it's not uncommon to sit on your case for 6 or 8 months or even longer and then bring you back for a second interview. And that second interview would really be just to confirm that you're still together and give you a bit more time to get some more marriage documents together. But that's not common. And the reason that we prep you for this interview is we want you to bring everything that you can conceivably need to that first initial interview so that you will be approved thereafter. When you're approved for residency, you normally receive your green card in 7 to 10 days, so there's not a huge delay after the approval is put in the system. It's just that sometimes we do see a delay between the interview and when the case is ultimately approved. One other thing I will note about your adjustment of status interview is that you do want to dress up just a little bit. We usually say church or better. You don't have to wear a 3-piece tuxedo, but you do want to show them that this is an important day for you and your spouse, and that you're taking it seriously, that it's important to you, and that you've come there with your best foot forward. So that is always appreciated by the immigration service officers. I'll just end today to tell you, you don't need to be nervous about this interview. It is very important, and you want your spouse to stay in the United States and they want to stay in the United States, but you don't have anything to hide. We always tell our clients that bona fide marriages can be proven as such. So if you're in a bona fide marriage, if you are married for the right reasons, then there will be the evidence there and you will do fine in your interview. If you didn't know the answer to a question, don't let it rattle you. If you're in a genuine relationship, it won't be hard to prove it. So because of that, just be honest when you're in an interview, and don't be nervous or let it cause you a lot of anxiety. Don't lose sleep the night before. It'll be fine. It's important, but it'll be fine. And that's why we're here to support you. We've sent you the document checklist. We've sent you some common interview topics for you to review with your spouse. If you have other questions, call our office, let us know. If you need copies made, let us know. However we can be helpful, we will, because this is the end and we've prepared your case the best we can, and we really want you to be approved as soon as possible. After you're approved, we'll talk to you about whether you're a conditional resident or a permanent resident and what that means and what your responsibilities are in the United States after we get your approval notice, and we'll provide that to you. So again, just call our office if you need anything, or if you want an attorney to come with you to the interview, then certainly let us know.